Captain's Log Supplemental. Our ship has split into two factions, Pizza Party versus Cake Party. I wanted to treat the crew to what should have been a fun little morale booster, but my very opinionated senior officers tried to line up support amongst the crew. Apparently we're at just about an even split right now. Someone burned out one of the replicator making voting pins. Then, of course, the ever-contrarian Lieutenant Meade had to make some comment about this being a symptom of corporate apathy. None of us get paid for this. We're a volunteer force. Also, we can just make enough both for anyone. This is ridiculous.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Captain's Log Supplemental. My name is Stanford. I am joined this week, as all weeks, by our lovely producer, Mariah.
Hi there.
You gave her type building. She wasn't prepared.
Well, I heard her say hi there from the other room.
Yeah, because I'm headed over to shut the doors because you're so frickin' loud.
Oh, that sounds about right, actually. That sounds about right. She wasn't ready to be first. The other voice you've heard was our very own Chris.
Hello.
I almost said your last name, but I was like, that's awkward. And then, of course, we are also joined by Rob.
Hello.
Captain's Log Supplemental. We are a Star Trek Rewards podcast. We're rewatching Star Trek in chronological canon order. We started with Enterprise Season 1. We are currently halfway through Enterprise Season 3. Thank God. And it's been quite the adventure so far. We would definitely appreciate if anyone gives us a 5-star review, or any review, but preferably a 5-star one. Give us a shout out on your favorite Star Trek related group, or tell your friends about us. Just download the show an extra couple times just to push our numbers. Whatever you want to do, however you want to help out. So how we all feeling tonight?
Pretty good.
I'm feeling great. So I purposely didn't talk about this with you two earlier because I wanted to talk about it tonight on the podcast. So this has nothing to do with Star Trek, but one of the things I did this week was watch Godzilla -1.
Oh my God.
That was a great movie.
I was also going to talk about this, so that worked out.
Nice.
I watched Godzilla -1 today.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you did. But what did you think of it?
I thought it was great. It told a good story. It told a good story in parallel to Godzilla, and but it still had plenty of like classic Godzilla sequences. Some of the CGI, like the way they put it together, felt very like classic Godzilla.
Yeah,
like the way they have the tanks moving and the Godzilla himself, the way he moves, it looks kind of like the old rubber suit.
Right. Yeah, I thought that was interesting. I thought that was a very interesting choice they made, because it's definitely like CG.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Do you want to hear something wild about all that?
Okay.
So normal like big blockbuster movies are like 150 million plus now, right?
Sure.
Guess what the budget was for that movie?
I don't know, like 40 million tops.
15 million.
Yeah, that sounds right.
This was the first Godzilla I've seen in a while where like I genuinely cared more about the humans than I did about Godzilla. Like I was actively rooting for them because normally the humans are just dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah, in any of the more, mainstream Godzilla movies, and I've watched all of them because my kids very much enjoy them. But they are like Godzilla and Kong and stuff are the protagonists. The humans are just there to advance the story.
Right. I do like it.
Or
We're
guys.
gonna get some spoilers going on here, but it's also a Godzilla movie, so like you know what you're getting. I put it earlier in the chat, but I like how they're like, okay, here's our plan. We're going to sink Godzilla to the bottom of the ocean and crush him with all the pressure. And what if that doesn't work? And then like a man from the balloon factory is like, come with me.
It was so good.
Man. He comes up and they're like, we're going to kill Godzilla with bends.
Yeah.
Which also didn't work. This is the first time I've seen any Godzilla movie mention like that he's got some kind of healing factor thing going on.
So
some of the more recent ones, like he like heals with absorbing radiation.
Yes, that
Yeah.
I've seen.
Yeah.
Yeah, the new stuff with the Monsterverse. Like, that's why he has to retreat back underground after a while.
Right, to recharge, yeah.
Also, I recommend not watching this movie because it is deeply upsetting. Shin Godzilla, that Godzilla also has regenerative powers, but he's also like rapidly evolving. Like
Liam
he just
mentioned
makes
Shin
new
Godzilla.
weapons for himself.
Why do you say, like, why shouldn't I watch it? What?
Okay, so that movie was made by the same guy that created Neo Genesis Evangelion.
Okay.
So he takes the evolution of Godzilla very literally, and it happens very fast. So because he's evolving quickly, he gets too large too quickly, like for his body. So the first iteration of Godzilla in that movie is just this like half fish, half lizard thing flopping around on the ground, still with fish googly eyes, like designed for underwater, so it looks real weird. And he's just bleeding out of his gills all over the streets of Tokyo. Like, it's super gross.
Yeah.
Oh man, I need to watch that shit. Can't outgross me. But yeah, no, if you're a Godzilla fan, Godzilla -1 was good. I kept calling it Godzilla +1, like I guess he's going to a wedding. I think Godzilla +1 is like a rom-com.
Yeah. Who's his +1? Is it
That's the point of the movie. You gotta he's got to find somebody to take to this wedding.
Elevator pitch me, man. Come on. I need to know who the +1 is.
Probably some, let's say, the general of the Japanese army. Well, no.
No.
The general's
No.
assistant.
You have to start it in a world where love seems impossible.
Yeah, where does the meet cute happen?
The meet cute happens when Godzilla crushes the general, but then him and the assistant lock eyes.
But he's crushed though.
No, the general. So that's what I'm saying. Like the +1 is actually the assistant to the general.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. The attaché.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. That's a better word. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's like this handsome guy. Yeah.
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 Match made in heaven.
We need a theme song. Thinking Islands in the Sun. Yeah, we're gonna go with that one.
Oh man. All right. Well.
All right, and on that note, so Star Trek. This week's episode was called Chosen Realm. I don't really have a preface on this one. I'm just gonna kind of get into it unless anyone wants to make any notes before we start here.
No, let's get into it.
The only note I had was, it's another sphere.
Yeah, that's my first note is another sphere. We cold open to another sphere. This one is identical to the other two, which I find interesting because I thought the second one was explicitly bigger than the first one. But I guess not. Anyways, they're all identical. And they were just checking it out in order to get some data for T'Pol's little map. But as they come out of the cloaking field, we see that there are some creepers watching them, which is mistake number 1 for this episode. I think we didn't need to see this. I think the episode would have been better if we didn't. Like, obviously they're aliens on Star Trek Enterprise, so we knew they were assholes.
Sure.
But, like, it would be nice to suspend the disbelief there for a little bit, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it would have been a better choice. Yes.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
How did they see the shuttle pod before it left the cloaking field?
I gathered that they saw the shuttle pod as it came out of the cloaking field.
Okay.
Okay. So we get a little bit of jingly jangly Faith of the Heart, and then we come back to T'Pol talking about her map and how this data is great, and they've got a really good chance of mapping the anomalies. They might want to check out one more sphere just to kind of double check everything, but everything's looking pretty good for the little anomaly map. And Archer gets an alert from the bridge that there is a ship approaching them at impulse. Now, he is kind of suspicious, and I think that's fair because, like, space is big. So if someone's coming at you at sublight, like, the chances of you just happening to stumble upon somebody like that is pretty remote.
Right.
Yeah, maybe he's finally learning to not just blindly trust every stranger.
I was going to say, all the other times they've gotten taken over by aliens and whatnot.
Yeah. So it is a Yes, so there is a distress call. The aliens are. Did they actually talk to them on the comms yet? I don't think they did yet. Or no, they heard them. They heard they're like, we need help. Blah blah blah.
Right.
And they're like, all right, so they let them dock. We cut to like the medical bay, and they're getting treated. Phlox says that they've got some minor injuries, a couple of malnutrition cases, but nothing too intense. Then they let them know that their ship is having some kind of like reactor problem or something like that. So their ship is busted and it needs fixed.
Yeah. They also mentioned that they're refusing any type of thorough medical scans.
Yes, they do not.
On religious grounds.
Due to religious beliefs, they do not approve of any invasive medical procedures.
And probably other reasons too.
Space anti-vaxxers.
Yeah. I hadn't really considered the other part because it kind of fell by the wayside, but that's a good point. We'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
I can't pronounce the main dude's name, but his name sounded like Dijon Mustard, so I called him that.
Dijamat.
Yeah, Dijon Mustard. So he's in charge. He's not a captain. He's a Pokemon. It's some kind of title that they gave him.
Is he Grey Poupon?
Yeah, he's the Grey Poupon Dijon Mustard.
Yes.
And this is where this guy seems pretty nice. He's like, yeah, we're religious, and this is kind of what our deal is. We're going here, and this is where I was like, man, they could have strung us along a little bit. They didn't have to immediately introduce these characters as being like treacherous assholes.
Well, yeah, so I think they kind of halfway did it one way, halfway did it another, right? So
Right.
We have that opening scene where they're like, yep, these are the bad guys. They tell us right off the bat, these are the bad guys. But then they also waste time with them being friendly and stuff. Why?
Yeah, either tell the story or don't.
Right.
However, their religious structure of these people seems to be based around the spheres and the expanse itself. They call the expanse the chosen realm. The spheres are their gods are called the makers, and they are the ones who made the spheres. They have a belief that someday the spheres are setting up the chosen realm to be ideal paradise for the makers, and the makers will show back up. They believe that the anomalies are a gift from the makers. Their breath, I think they called it.
Yeah, maker's breath, yeah.
And so, there are some of them that have, anomaly scars, which are, these twisted burn-looking things. And they consider them badges of honor.
I'm really disappointed that they didn't call the scars the Maker's Mark.
You would be disappointed by that. And the Dijon Mustard and Archer and T'Pol are all having dinner because Archer's like, well, we found out a lot about the spheres, so maybe we can have dinner and we can talk about it. I actually find it kind of anathema to T'Pol's character to quite so bluntly confront a dearly held religious belief. Because,
yeah,
I understand that she's super sciencey and not, overly spiritual. But she's also, very much been, these are other people's cultures and dearly held customs, so you should respect them. To Archer.
Also, the Vulcans are a deeply logical people, but a lot of it is, based in ritual and
Spiritualism.
mysticism.
Absolutely. Yeah. So she's very, very, kind of rudely blunt about a lot of this. But she's basically the dude's yeah, the makers have left thousands of spheres, and she's there's 59, you dumb bitch. And
well, actually, there's only 59.
And he's like, well, I think you miscounted by a few, which I was like, yeah, good for you, man. Fuck this bitch. So and then Archer's like, I maybe we should have this conversation another time. It's or not at all. I don't know that this is a useful conversation in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, Dijamat also is very classic anti-science in a science fiction universe. All the stuff he says here, it's yeah, okay, I get it. He's religious. I understand.
Right. And it's also one of those things where it's how did you get a spaceship to work?
Right, exactly. Where did we get to this point? How did that path go? Because he's no, your science book learning is dumb. I don't know what you're talking about.
He does too, yeah. And this is not the last time there will be a clumsy allegory to the real world. So strap in. we get a cut back to the medical bay where a woman comes in to, one of the alien women comes to Dr. Phlox. She seems like she is feeling a little trepidatious about some kind of medical situation that is going on with her. We will later find out that she is pregnant and is thinking about aborting the pregnancy. That is going to be clumsy allegory number 2. But Dr. Phlox is like...
Her whole storyline in this is like... Why? What?
Yeah, it only existed so they could put abortion into the show. Because it had no bearing on anything else that happened.
Nope.
And we don't even have any kind of idea. Sorry, go ahead, Rob.
I was going to save this till the end when we were talking about like our scores, but if this entire episode could be wrapped up in like a single hyphenated word, it would be ham-fisted.
Yeah. Yeah. That is, I thought that multiple times myself while watching this, actually.
And I don't think she's a bad, I think that her use to the story was good. I think it was a fine side character to throw into the plot. But it could have been anything. And the fact that it was an abortion was okay, I see what you're doing here. But also, they never actually said whether abortion was against their religion. The dude was just Dijon Mustard probably wouldn't like that too much, but mostly because of the invasive medical thing, not because an abortion. Right. So it's are you doing this or not? It's again, it's just a bad allegory. Okay. So we get a kind of a secret meeting between, Dijon Mustard and some of his followers. And this is where it's they don't seem like bad people. And he's they desecrated a sphere. Fuck these assholes is what Dijon Mustard says. Mm-hmm. Again, I think the writing could have drawn this out longer and made it a more interesting plot out of it. But it's okay, we're cutting straight to them being assholes.
Right. It's Yark, by the way, is the one who is having doubts, who's the husband of the...
Yes, the husband of the woman. Yep.
The woman, yeah.
So they decide to put their plan into action. Now, their plan is that Dijon Mustard goes to Archer and says, yo, all of my followers have bombs implanted in them and they are willing to sacrifice themselves. And I have stationed them around your ship in strategic areas because the humans are willing to let anyone anywhere, pretty much.
Right? Why
are they in engineering?
Wow, what are we doing, guys? Come on.
You would think that Reed has some sort of protocol set up for visitors on the Enterprise, but no.
And to prove that he is serious, he has one of his followers blow himself up. It of course takes out a woman that works for the Enterprise. This is one of those things where it's this character only existed to make us feel bad. Yeah. Right. And of course it was a woman because that's how early 2000s worked.
She's just it was a long, she's just sitting there watching this guy do the thing.
This whole process is he says a prayer and stabs his, kilt pin into his wrist. And then it starts the explosion and he dies.
The reaction, yeah.
And it explodes. And she watches this whole thing and it's this drawn out, extended very, scene.
You don't like that in Monty Python and the Holy Grail when there's that one scene of the knight charging at the castle.
Yeah.
I felt like that's what was happening.
And every time it cuts back, he's not quite as far as he was. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
This is ham-fisted allegory number 3. Or poor allegory number 3. This is of course a suicide bomber.
Right.
2003, 2004, so that's fresh in everybody's mind.
Religious extremist suicide bomber,
yeah. But Archer not wanting to, not wanting anyone else to get hurt, it cedes to them the ship. As we come back into Act 2, we once again understand that Phlox is the fucking goat.
He really is.
They're everyone's get out of here. And Phlox is I have to treat these patients because they have decompression wounds and the one has severe burns. And they're no. And he's you're going to have to shoot me because I'm not leaving my patients. And then they're all right, fine, leave Toothless Sam here to watch after Phlox. The Dijon Mustard is I need you to understand, Archer, that I also lost a crewman in that explosion, which I don't know. That doesn't feel like it really counts.
Yeah,
It's
that
not the
doesn't-
same.
You definitely told him to blow himself up.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. It's like, well,
You expended a crew member. You did not
Yeah.
lose one.
But they take over the Enterprise, and Archer pretty much orders everyone to do what they're told. And they detach their own ship and blow them up with torpedoes, which seems like a waste to me. But what do I know?
Yeah, there's like a bunch of more like just like religious zealoty tropes like getting thrown around here by Dijon Mustard too. Like this whole time, I'm just like, all right, I get it.
Yeah.
My religious dogma says you all have to die, but it's okay. I like you, Archer.
Yeah,
Right,
he
like-
says, I like you, Captain. And I'm like, what? Why? Yeah. So, and we get, they're in like what is the situation room? What the fuck did they name that?
The control
center
center, right?
or whatever. The fuck?
Yeah.
And they're looking at the sphere data, and he's explaining that like, this is all blasphemous, and you're a heretic, and however, he's like, I do recognize that you risked your own crew to save mine, so therefore, instead of killing everyone on this ship, we need the ship to go fight our war. But instead of killing everyone, what I'll do is I'll let just one person die as a penance for the whole crew, and then everyone else is free to go after we're done with the ship. That is his plan.
Mhm.
Then he erases all of the sphere data. I need a writer to tell me to my face that there aren't backups of that data right now. Like,
yeah, right?
what the-
Yeah, I'm like, there's definitely backups. He just knew the root command to delete all data related
If
to
you
this.
look-
Like, what are we doing?
If you looked at
Yeah.
the top of the screen while he was deleting it, it was just like search all, sphere, delete, search all, expanse, delete. I'm like, that's probably gonna delete a lot of extra shit too.
Did you see like what the data format was in? It was XBs. I don't even know. Like, what is that? Because like zettabytes are a thing, but that's ZB.
It's a xylophone bite. Yep.
Okay.
Wait, yeah, what they have a name for their. They have a different. Oh man, I don't remember the Star Trek like unit of data. They have a different name for a unit of data in Star Trek.
Crystals.
Ah, fuck, I don't remember. They said it a bunch in Voyager.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, that's gonna bug me. Okay. So Archer's mad that he deleted all the data, but he's like, "Can I think about who I want to give up to die?" We obviously know he's gonna pick himself, but the guy's like, "Yes, you make your decision in 6 hours." And Archer's like, "Okay." We cut to the wife and the husband, the aliens, talking about the fact that they don't want to have this kid because the kid's going to be born into this cult leader, and they're not really super fly on this guy anymore. Again, this is kind of a weird way to bring abortion into this. This wasn't necessary. It could have just been they're a little dissatisfied. Like, that's all I had to be.
Yeah, I did. Like I said, I don't know why. Like really, her whole character was unnecessary in this.
I don't necessarily agree with that. I think that both of them had a role to play because,
What was
like,
her role?
She shows up at the end and saves everybody.
Well, that, but I mean, like, her and her husband both had roles in the plot, and I think that having,
What was her role in the plot?
Well,
what did she do besides be a reason why Yorick?
She has a vagina, so they have to use that.
well, no, because they are showing us the descent among his own people. That's their use as people.
So just basically so they could have more than one person who was dissenting.
Well, so actually, I like it better this way because when it's just one person, that person now has to tell his whole story to someone that we know, and that never makes any sense.
All
but
right.
as like a
I'll
vehicle,
buy that. That's fair.
Yeah, as a vehicle of telling us that, it's nice to have them talk to each other.
Yeah. Okay. Fair.
Okay. So I said, must be embarrassing to have to ring the doorbell on your own ready room. So
Right.
Archer reports to Dijon Mustard. And Dijon Mustard's like, I've been reading your logs. You know, you and I are basically the same person because you also torture people. And I'm like, Archer, logs is torture?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
It's official
he's
torture.
now-
It's fine.
He's now officially Jonathan. Torture is fine as long as they survive it, Archer.
Yeah, it's like fucking Guantanamo in here.
He does correctly, like old Dijon Mustard does. He does correctly point out that Archer has done some shitty things.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I don't disagree with Dijon Mustard's assessment of Archer.
What he does, though, next is immediately ruin it by telling this great story about how he murdered a child and he was totally cool with it.
He killed a child and feels good about it. Yeah.
Like, all right, like you had me in the first half, but
and this is the point where I'm like, see, this is why you don't trust a man with a ponytail. Like, this just doesn't work out for anybody. Man buns and ponytails, they're all douches. Archer chooses himself, which we assumed. And the guy looks shocked, which I don't understand why.
But then immediately says, I would have done the same.
Right, which is why I'm even less understanding of why he seemed so shocked. I don't know if he just had bad direction on the acting there. He should have just said, like, I assumed as much. Like, that would have been fine. Like, that would have been a good line. But he's like, well, I would do the same in your regard. You're making a great sacrifice for your people. I respect that. And Archer's like, let me make one request. When we get rid of bodies and when we do executions the few times we've had to, we use a special device. It's considered humane. And the guy's like, sure. And I was like, what is he talking about? And then it cut to, and then there was a moment when he said something about like it dematerializes them or vaporizes them or whatever. I was like, oh, so they go to the transporter, which I'm like, oh, this is pretty good. This is pretty good.
Yeah, I enjoyed this part. Yeah, this is funny.
That's part of the whole episode.
The aliens obviously don't know how the transporter works, so what they see, and T'Pol is like, well, they test it on a box to show them how it works, is like it just dematerializes them, and they're like, oh, Jesus Christ, that's crazy. These people also figured out how to use the human's entire computer system. I assume the transport, like, data computer says the word transporter at the top of it. Like,
no, they deleted that with the search of sphere.
Yeah,
right?
that's what it was.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're
deleted.
right. Yeah, never mind. Yeah.
It had expanse in the file name. Very unfortunate.
Shit. Okay, so let's see. So they play it up pretty good. Actually, they do some pretty good acting here. Because he's like, tell Phlox to take care of Porthos, and T'Pol's like, Captain, are you sure? And he's like, just do it. And she's like, fine. And she throws the switch and he dematerializes. And we, of course, as viewers know that this is not the end. But the aliens are now talking to T'Pol because she's now ostensibly in charge. Okay, I have here, now he's in the cargo bay watching water polo. I have damn cult leaders. The makers speak through me. Duh. Oh yeah. So husband goes to raise some issues with Dijon Mustard. Dijon Mustard's like, if you disagree with me, because the makers speak through me, you believe that, right? Well, if you believe that, then obviously
You're a heretic.
If you think I'm wrong, then that's heresy, and you'll have to be killed. So you better want to think about whether or not you want to question me right now.
Also, questions are also heresy.
Just ending a sentence in a question mark is a fucking heresy.
Yeah, just more, religious zealot tropes. Like, it's like, all right.
We cut to sickbay. Archer is sending a message to Phlox. Somehow Phlox managed to sound like Phlox over a text, which was kind of cool. Because he's like, go ahead. They work out a plan because the Archer's like, Phlox, can you disable the alien bombs inside their bodies? And Phlox is basically like, I'm going to need a scan of somebody. So Archer goes and takes care of one of the patrolling cultists, ties him up, scans him, and he's like, sorry, your religion doesn't like you to be scanned, bitch. And then he wanders off.
Pretty much. That's what I said.
And then Phlox has his scan and starts doing his work. At this point, Archer starts, like, sabotaging the ship to get it to kind of not go any further. There's some surprisingly good camera work where we follow Dijon Mustard out of the ready room onto the bridge. It was, like, a really nice shot that I wish they used more often. because it really helped with the idea of like this guy doesn't like he's walking from the ready room to where he has control to a situation where he's like out of control. It was a good camera shot. Archer's just yanking wires, and so the boards and stuff are all lighting up. Only to Paul and now Phlox knows that Archer is still alive. Everyone else was told that he's dead. The ship, the ship like literally has weekly issues. I don't know how anyone doesn't expect this to just be like normal EPS issues because like they have them constantly. But somehow they know it's sabotage. And then the episode gets a little preachy. I don't remember how. Hold on.
I don't remember it getting preachy here.
Was it because the other alien showed up?
Yeah. So this is where Archer and the husband start talking. Because Archer drops behind the husband and another dude who were looking for him. He shoots the other dude because that guy was named we don't know.
You skipped over when they went to engineering and Trip used the Shaggy defense.
Yeah, Trip's like, wasn't me. Fucking Stewart here was watching me the whole time. And Stewart's like, yeah, I was watching him the whole time. I wasn't doing shit. Archer takes down No Name Dude and then starts talking to husband. And this is where it's like, duh, religion is the cause of too many problems, man. And this is where, this is the last of the bad allegories, but like, it's like, what is the big religious disagreement that y'all have? And it's like, we believe that the makers made the Expanse in 9 days.
Oh my God. Yes.
And they think it happened in 10 days. And I was like, okay, that's like, actually really insulting. Like, that's a shitty thing to say.
Yeah, it's like, I understand what you're doing here. And then
yeah, we get it. You're highbrow sci-fi writers, so therefore, like, religion is silly. But, like, come on. That's not how this works.
Yeah, nobody would be that upset over it. It's like, shut up. Shut the fuck up. That's stupid.
Shut the front
Like,
door.
you could properly write that into a way that, while making it obvious it's not that different, doesn't make it insulting.
Right, absolutely. Absolutely.
Or just,
like, it could have been something as simple as,
there.
like, well, we believe in waiting for the makers to return, where they believe in making, like in calling the makers back by going into the spheres and doing things to them, and that's, like, a big disagreement. Sure.
Right.
Absolutely. Like, that's the difference between, like, our economy is built for this and our economy is built for that. Those are fundamental disagreements that we would have to work out. Like, sure, if you want to make it an actually religious war, which... As a small aside, one of the first things that we're taught when you get a degree in political science is there's no such thing as a religious war. Religion is used as an excuse. It is never the cause of a war. Wars are always caused by the same thing. Somebody
has resources that the other person wants. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Usually it's land, although in the modern era it has been other things. Usually it's land. So...
Yeah, I learned that in EU4.
So like, yeah, sci-fi writers who, and other, like, you hear this a lot out of like supposed highbrow, chronically online people. That's like, well, without religion, a whole bunch of things would be better because all this bad shit's done in the name of religion. It's like, no, that's not how it works, motherfucker. People want stuff and they're just going to use whatever justification they have on hand to make it happen.
I mean, yeah, it's things like religion and race are easy things to convince one person to hate another about.
Sure, absolutely.
So you can then swoop in behind them and take their stuff.
Right, like you can, as a leader, certainly garner support for a war by using religion or race or whatever. But that is not the reason you are going to war.
Right.
Okay, so we get to so now things are kind of starting to basically the Enterprise's crew is going to start fighting back. There's a scuffle on the bridge because this is where some ships show up. So ships from the other religious factions show up to try to fight the Enterprise, and Dijon Mustard's like, "Yo, you can see our ship is clearly superior," and they're like, "Well, fuck you, whatever."
Yeah, this is where York needs to go in. Well, I guess it's shortly. They they needed the reason Archer got him to help him is because they needed Yarick to go like do a thing on the bridge because it can only be done from the bridge,
which is fine. I think he needed the controls rerouted down to engineering.
Right.
Yeah.
You're just they needed it so they could release the gas into the
right.
Yeah.
Like, but like the thing here with Dijon is nothing on this ship is currently working right. Why would you pick a fight with 4 other ships?
I also wondered that
all of your stuff is busted.
However, I have another question, which is why these guys act the way they do, given what we're about to learn at the very end of the episode.
Yeah, I also had that question as well.
Oh yeah,
because like
also
good question.
Why are they there in this random place they stopped?
Well, yeah, that's a good question too. But anyways, they're going to start firing, and T'Pol doesn't want to kill the other ship, so the dude kind of takes over firing torpedoes, and she like has to distract. She tries to pull him off the panel so that he can't blow up the ship. Part of this is a distraction away from what husband is doing, but also she genuinely doesn't want to kill these people. I don't understand why she doesn't just nerve pinch him. Like, she like tries to wrestle him. But, like, she's a Vulcan. Nerve pincher.
She didn't want to trigger his biobomb. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. I forgot that they had the Vulcan nerve pinch switch activated on their biobombs. That's my mistake.
Yeah,
never mind.
that's what it was, yeah.
Phlox needs a distraction in the medical bay from his little handler, so he releases the bat, and it's hilarious because Phlox is incredible.
Like the best part is this thing's flying around. He's like, it's not very dangerous. Unless it's aggravated.
Unless it's aggravated.
There's no cure for its venom.
There's no cure for its venom. And this dude's like, ugh. And then he hypos that guy and he passes out. Thankfully, and this is really good work on the engineers that designed this ship. The ship-wide environmental conduits run right underneath his desk. So
very convenient. Barely an inconvenience.
He just plugs his little this will make all the biobombs not work gas into that.
Yep.
We get some good shots of the alien ship firing and like the Enterprise in this little fight. The alien ships look kind of cool. I actually like their design.
They do, yeah.
I appreciate the fact that they went with something not like generic spaceship design.
It's almost like Boba Fett's ship, but with some like larger engines on the side. It was a cool look.
Yeah.
Archer is at this point trying to take engineering back, and they start shooting people and trips. No, I'm sorry. He rescues Reed first. Archer gets Reed, and he's like, "Let's go get the Makos."
Very horny to shoot some guns.
Yeah. Oh, Reed is so ready to kill some people.
I have in my notes here, release the Makos.
Yeah, he's like, let's get the Makos. So they're going to get the Makos. And then they just start working through the ship. There's like this kind of scuffle. And then the one Mako ends up in like hand-to-hand combat with one of these random cultists. There's no fucking way this guy ever gets the upper hand on a trained Mako. Like,
no. She
had the drop on it. First of all, I don't know why she didn't just shoot him. Second of all, let's assume she couldn't for whatever reason. She had the drop on him, and she is a like trained military woman. There's absolutely no way that she doesn't just like put him on the floor in seconds. But I guess that's not exciting. I don't know. The fisticuffs on the show are bad anyway, so whatever.
Does no one on the alien team here have like a walkie-talkie or something? Why did no one call back up to the bridge and be like, hey, just so you know, everybody's breaking out?
That shit's real bad here, guys.
Yeah, well, to be fair, because you're right, but also they do have walkies. They have those all round things. But to be fair, like, this isn't their, like, I feel like the extras did a good job of making these people feel like they're kind of out of their element. I don't think this is what they usually do. These aren't military people. They're just like some random church congregation.
Yeah, but like, these two factions have been in a religious war for years, evidently.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that these people specifically are soldiers.
Isn't the one like one of the religious leaders?
I will say I don't know what his like rank structure is on his side of this conflict because he's just like a religious leader.
Poupon.
Right, yeah, but like I don't know how many Grey Poupons are there? Is he like a bishop? But like, it's not like the Pope went and punched like a Muslim in the face during the Crusades, Rob. Like he's just a religious dude, you know?
I guess.
So they start trying to take engineering. I went, oh shit, Archer's going vents, which is kind of a Counter-Strike reference, because he like crawled up into the vents. They shoot a bunch of other guys, and then one of the aliens tries to blow himself up, but it doesn't work, which was kind of funny. And then
that was funny. That he was on like the stairs and he just like falls back after he gets shot. That was comical.
Archer calls back up to the bridge. It's like, hey, it's Archer, and the leader, like his face is very like, fuck, he's still alive. What the fuck? But then it very quickly is like, I should have figured that out before. So like the actor did a pretty good job there. And he's like, and Archer's like, I've rerouted all controls down to engineering. Go ahead and try to blow your people up. I'll wait. And then there's this pause.
Wait, you missed the best part of like all of the gunfights in this entire episode. Was Reed throwing his rifle at some random dude?
That's right, I forgot about that.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, because he like shoots Reed's gun.
Oh, he shot Reed's gun. Yeah, that was early. So like he's like, well, fuck this, just a heavy piece of metal at this point.
Yeah, that's kind of funny.
Okay. Obviously, so it's at this point while the leader's trying to figure out what to do, that some Makos get onto the bridge and start shooting people. There's a little bit of a fight there, and then they kind of like they polish them off pretty quick. There's a sequence right after this where they're like the leader is he's stunned, and Travis goes and takes the pistol away from Dijon Mustard, and Anthony Montgomery is like, he like grabs his pistol, is like, yeah, fuck you, asshole. Like he is pissed. Travis is done with this shit.
Mm.
Okay, so they're still fighting the other ships because the Enterprise was trying to chase them down. And so the ships kind of turn around and start shooting back. Reed fires a couple of phasers to kind of scare them off, not really to destroy them, but just kind of scare them off. And then Archer calls him, and he's like, we have control of the ship again. The dude's like, well, why would I believe you? And I don't really understand why he wouldn't believe him. Like, they were trying to leave, so just go. But he's like, we do trust you. Look, here's the dude. And he's like, all right, and they fly off. Then we get to their planet, which is where they were headed. And Archer's like, we're here, and this dude's like, meh. And he's like, well, let me show you what your religion's worth. And they take them down to the planet, and it turns out 8 months ago, because these people have been out in space for a while, 8 months ago, there was like a global exchange of nuclear weapons, and every major city on the planet is destroyed. And that's like kind of the end of the episode, is like, this guy like, this slow zoom out of like, this desolated city, and like, look what your religion is worth, you bitch.
Yeah.
And that is the end of the episode.
Yep.
Like, please don't leave this guy free to just keep villaining around the universe. Like, this is just like another con in the making.
Mm-hmm.
Con?
This guy doesn't feel nearly as good at it.
Yeah, he's kind of dumb overall.
Oh, he's not good, but like, I feel like he's not going to give up just because his planet was destroyed.
No, he seemed really sad about it.
Well, and I gather there are still some population on the planet. The planet's not completely wiped out. It's just that the major cities were. This felt like kind of a lazy ending. I'm not a fan of this particular ending. I think it's all this kind of shitty allegory because like, I don't think. Okay, actually, I should hold these thoughts. Well, no, fuck it. I'm going to get them out. I don't think that like using the religion as like a cultural reason for these people to be at war or whatever is fine. I think that like trying to be like, well, religion is stupid and anyone who follows it is stupid made this a lot worse than it could have been.
Yeah.
I think that,
like I said, there's just so much like ham-fisted, just like it wasn't like their religious zealotry wasn't well written.
No.
It was just like,
actually, so
they're
disagree.
super into their beliefs. Blah.
I think that the fundamental tenets of their religion were interesting enough. I think that those were fine. The idea that like,
well, that's not what I said though.
The spheres are sacred. I think that their religious beliefs were good, actually.
No, I didn't say they weren't. I said that they didn't write them well. Like, the concept of their religion is fine. It's their espousal of those beliefs that was not well written.
That's where I disagree. Like, I think they actually were written very well. The problem came up right when we started talking about the conflict itself.
No, we're disagreeing. Stop it.
I know. I'm trying to disagree with you.
What? No, you're saying I'm saying one thing that I'm not saying.
Okay, start again.
So listen, Stanford thinks that they were all created in 9 days, and Chris thinks they were all created in 10.
No. I'm saying that I think the religious beliefs of these people were written well.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not disagreeing. I don't necessarily think they were written particularly well. I thought the basis of what their religious beliefs were fine. What I'm saying is, I don't think that their espousal of those beliefs was done very well.
It felt like a caricature.
Yes, that is what I'm saying. It was a caricature of a religious person.
Oh, I see. Okay. I misunderstood what you meant by the word espousal. Because I think that the guys, before we start getting into the stupid shit, I think that his proselytizing about it, like his little explanation of his religion to T'Pol and his stuff with Archer, I thought all that was great. I thought it was actually really well done. Like that whole dinner scene is him espousing his religious beliefs.
Part?
Yeah.
Well, he wasn't lying. He was explaining his religion.
He was lying about why they were there.
Right.
He wasn't actually.
We're making a pilgrimage.
Which he was. That's the thing. This is where I think that you and I disagree, but also I think the episode missed an opportunity. Because that was true. They were in trouble. And they were on this pilgrimage. They just happened upon the Enterprise and they saw it as a sign that they should take this ship and go win the war. They didn't seek out the Enterprise.
Okay, you said something wasn't done well. What are you saying wasn't done well? Because I disagree with you on what you're saying, but continue.
At the beginning of the episode, Stanford, they say that they found what they've been looking for.
Yes, as in like a sign from their gods, because they were on this pilgrimage to look for one to try to find a way to finish the war.
That's just vague enough to work.
Well, sure. Like it's fucking Star Trek. Like let's get real here. I think that the problem came when they explained like why there was a conflict. That's the issue I had. I actually thought the fact that like them believing the Enterprise people are heretics, sure, whatever. I don't give a fuck. Like it's a religion. All this other stuff is fine. The whole like, well, they believe it took 9 days and we had 10 days.
Okay,
that's where it started. That's where it took a turn
there.
for being very, very stupid.
No, I think I agree with you on that part. I think it was also very, very stupid for most of the other things that Dijon Mustard said. It was just too extreme and too like Rob said. It was just like it's like, yep, this is a caricature of a religious zealot. It was stupid.
It's hard to justify that kind of character without giving a lot of background context.
Yeah, and I mean
not have them seem
we're in a bottle episode, so obviously that's not. There's only so much we can do there, but it just wasn't carried off well, in my opinion.
The only time in media I can think of where this has been pulled off well and believably was the first arc of Full Metal Alchemist, where they are trying to fight against that preacher in that desert town.
I know what you're talking about.
So at a scale from 1 to 5, where 0 is threshold, what you got, Chris?
It was a 2. I was waffling between 3 and 2 because I mean overall it was entertaining enough, but just there was too much ham-fistedness, so it's 2 for me.
Yeah, that's where I am too. I started off at a 3, but the more and more I thought about the episode, it felt too forced. I don't know.
So I was originally at a 4, but then I brought all of the kind of shitty allegories down into the 3 for me. It felt like kind of standard Star Trek.
Yeah, I think the overall plot of the episode was pretty standard Star Trek stuff. It just, I don't know. It was just too. I found myself rolling my eyes far too much.
Yeah, like they've done religious episodes in the past better than this.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. That's fine. Okay, cool. Well, when we get back, we will have a deep dive. Welcome back. So, I have a question.
Shoot.
How many times do we think like the main flagships of Starfleet get taken over by other people?
Oh man,
so many times.
I feel like it's a lot.
So many times. I mean, oof. Yeah.
So, and I don't have any like. It's hard to do specific research on this because no one has collated that specific data.
Right.
But like the episodes I've seen of the original series, I think I've seen like 3 of them. One of those involved people taking over the ship, and that's the Khan one. In the Next Generation, at least 2 or 3 times within the first 5 episodes, something takes over the ship.
Or it takes over Data, which then takes over the ship.
Sure. Or mind controls the captain and then takes over the fucking ship.
Or just bursts a video game and takes over the ship.
Oh man, fucking video games are the worst. And it's happened a couple times on Enterprise too, where people have come on and taken over the ship. So I wanted to talk about like kind of the merits of that particular plot, because I think that like it gets a little overused, mostly because I can probably, if I tried to, name 20 times that like the main ship in the show that we're watching has been taken over.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, no, it's a lot. I think it's just like, it's a writer's tool of a way to remove the control that, being, I guess, having the ship like that would normally grant you. And it lets them to do other storylines. Like, writers love to do the old pad footing storylines.
Right. Yeah, the Die Hard.
Right. They're sneaking around the ship and knocking bad guys out. And yeah, it's, action hero stuff.
Like, I would much rather they go the route of, like, the ship being disabled in some way, shape, or form.
I mean, that
like
happens a lot, too.
The Space Jiffy Lube episode of Enterprise.
Sure.
It just feels less contrived, I guess. I don't know. Because, like, for real, in what world are pirates going to be able to take out a Constitution-class vessel,
Or Ferengi.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and I agree, Chris, that it is a tool for the writers. It's a shorthand. Well, it's shorthand. I don't know if that's... It's a shortcut for, like...
Right.
We're going to make there be an issue that that there needs to be a resolution for inside the ship itself. And I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like the writers have to use what they have, and what they have is this ship. And so therefore they have to like generate a conflict, and the conflict can't be, we don't get along with the other crew members. That's not okay. The conflict has to be, well, the ship is being taken over by X, in AI, pirates, Ferengi, whatever. Religious zealots has happened at least twice. So I find it like, I acknowledge that it needs to happen once a show. Sure. Okay. Fine. Get your flexes out and get it worked out. Go do a mutiny or whatever, or a takeover. But like, it happens a lot, and it happens so much to the point where it's like these people start to look kind of incompetent. Because pretty much like every single turn is like, well, something new took over the fucking ship. Like, here we go.
I feel like the only one of these that I remember really liking was the Harry Mudd episode of Disco. Like,
did he take over the ship?
Specifically, yeah.
Okay.
Wait,
well, and like in like Next Generation, which, as you pointed out, happens a number of times. They also have instances where they like show that they could basically place a force field, like a security barrier,
wherever they want to.
at
Yes.
any junction in the Enterprise.
Yes, within any like 5 square feet of the ship. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, even when they do that, the you know, the person who's taking, or the group who's taking over the ship has just a very easy way to disable it. However, like, it just, and I know it's just writing in general, you know, they got to move along the plot. They have to work around their past decisions sometimes.
Right. It just seems like so many times where it's like, you know, at least 2 or 3 times y'all have just used some kind of generic knockout gas to make everyone go unconscious and sort it out later.
Yeah.
Maybe that should just be a standard method of like dealing with this.
Yeah, every crewman is inoculated for the knockout
Well,
gas,
no, because like some of them might be plants. You just inoculate like the captain and the chief medical officer and call it a day. Knock everybody else out. Or in the end, of course, on TNG, it makes even less sense because you've got fucking Data. He doesn't need to breathe. Like every time the ship is under any kind of threat of being taken over, knock everybody out. Fuck it. Data will just take care of it.
Yep.
Why not just set up like a computer program so that anytime
I'm pretty sure that happens, by the way.
What?
No, like in Next Generation, like everybody gets knocked out, and like they do that on purpose because Data will still be there.
Well, and it sounds like to me that it's happened so much that there should already be protocols in place to get executed.
Yes. Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like, there should be a computer program, right? So anytime there is somebody beamed aboard from a source that's not the ship's transporter, just, like, suck them up into the transporter buffer and leave them there.
Look, transporters solve too many problems in Star Trek as it is.
Although, and I was trying to think of like what my favorite one of these are, because there's so many where fucking things are taking over the ship or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I realized what my favorite version of this is, and that's the Gul Dukat like security program on DS9.
Attention, Bajoran workers.
Yeah, what a fun episode.
That was a good one, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, this isn't going to be a lengthy deep dive or anything. I wasn't going to go through a bunch of them, but like I did, it's just, it happens so much that like, there needs to be, I don't even know if there's a name for it. I wonder if TV Tropes has an article about it, but it's like someone took over the ship is like pretty much what happens every couple of weeks on this show. And not just Enterprise, on all of them.
I think it's better in the more recent shows because they've got the shorter seasons. They don't need as much filler.
Yeah, you know, and season-long story arcs, at least, too.
Has Strange New Worlds done it yet? They may be the only one who hasn't done it yet.
What about when they were singing?
Well, they were still in control. They were just singing the whole time.
Oh, yeah, they did. They had the pirate lady. She tried to take over the ship the one time.
I vaguely recall this. I did learn a new term for an event in some type of show or movie. Have you ever heard of the big-lipped alligator moment?
No.
So blam for short. But basically, it describes a moment in a story that fulfills at least most of the following conditions. It comes out of nowhere without any build-up. It makes little to no sense, even within the context of the story. Has little to no relevance for the actual plot. And is never mentioned or referenced again afterwards.
What's the big-lipped alligator reference?
So this was in reference to, I guess it's a term that was coined by Lindsay Ellis. Goes by the Nostalgia Chick. I'm not familiar with her, but the person I stumbled across it on some Reddit post, but like they mention in the Picard season 1 finale, the extra dimensional machines that show up, and then are never mentioned again.
Yeah, what happened to them? I know we're skipping ahead of the class here, but like, I genuinely was like, what happened to them? Like, even when I was watching that stupid show.
Yeah. Whereas then in the comments, people were like, brought up some other ones, I guess, in Star Trek the Motion Picture. Is it Ilya walk around the bridge announcing that her oath of celibacy is on record? It's kind of like, where is this coming from? Let's see here. Well, this person mentions Threshold in general, and of course the end of it, where they turn into lizards and have kids.
The having kids part was kind of weird. The rest of it,
Yeah.
like, I'm not saying it was a good plot, but like them turning into lizards was following the plot.
Sure.
And it wasn't not mentioned again. They mentioned that shit a couple of times, actually.
Yeah, they mention insurrection when it's shown the Baku can slow down time for one scene, and it's not really explored again.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, they're like, we could just do this. Oh, okay.
The Troy and Dr. Crusher like yoga meetup
Oh God.
where they awkwardly stretch in tight spandex.
And like smush vaginas or whatever they do in that scene. It's fucking
yeah.
weird, yeah.
I did appreciate Lower Decks making fun of it with Jackson Ransom.
Yes. Oh my God,
Yeah.
so good.
So yeah, that type of stuff.
Oh man, so I feel like like in terms of TNG, then like Riker and his dad doing that weird bullshit like martial art was probably one of them.
Oh yeah,
Because that just kind of showed the fuck up that they were like this like masters of this random fucking bullshit martial art, and then it's never mentioned again.
Yep, that's a good one.
Oh man. So yeah. Anyways, yeah. There's a lot of tropes in Star Trek, and hey, they took over the ship is definitely one of them. And it's not just Star Trek. It happens in pretty much any show where there's like a crew. This happens pretty much all the time. So Star Trek is not the only guilty party here.
Oh yeah. I was just going to tell you that apparently this is a reference to the alligator in All Dogs Go to Heaven, which apparently is not even a good example of this concept because it also shows up at the end of the movie and eats the bad guy. But
it's been a long time since I've seen that movie.
Yeah, same. Well, interestingly enough, somebody on this thread also mentioned that where Hoshi like drops off like a space worm on another planet. I did not realize at the time what planet she was dropping them off at.
What planet was it?
Ceti Alpha 6?
No, it wasn't.
Apparently.
Ceti Alpha 6?
Yeah.
Huh. Alright.
Wait, can you repeat that, Chris?
Which part?
Who was dropped off at Ceti Alpha 6?
The space slug?
That's Fight or Flight? Yeah, Fight or Flight.
Was it that episode?
Yeah, because it's she doesn't feel like she belongs, and then
anyway, so
that's the one that explodes. So
stuff.
Yeah, Ensign Hosho's having a look at her sick pet Sluggo. On an alien pilot supervisor, just Sluggo telling her that it look acclimates. I'm not. I don't know that I would have noticed that if it was mentioned. I don't know that it was.
I thought so too. This is coming in secondhand, so I don't know how accurate it is, but that would be funny.
Yeah, the term SETI does not show up in this article on Memory Alpha at all, so I have my doubts. But also, like SETI Alpha 6, like what a weird.
Yeah.
Because that planet, that like if they had said like she dropped Sluggo off at SETI Alpha 5, I would have been annoyed as fuck. Sort of like, all right, you didn't need to give that a background. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, that's enough for this. We will come back with a potpourri.
Welcome back, everybody. So, for this potpourri segment, I wanted to kind of actually stick in the Reddit bucket and look at some unpopular Star Trek opinions. I kind of gave you guys a heads up, so before I dive into this, Rob, you mentioned you had an unpopular opinion from one Liam. Is that right?
Yeah. So this comes from the younger Stanford. He doesn't think Threshold was that bad. He actually liked the episode.
Oh, you saw it?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
it was
he
not
watched
too
it.
long ago. We watched Threshold. I'm going to be honest. When we get there, and it'll be a while, I don't think I would give Threshold a 0 if I'm going to be honest. Like, I get the silly nature of it on paper, but watching through the episode, like, except for that silly part, it's actually fine. Like, it's a fine episode. It just got silly at the end there.
Who are you and what have you done with Matthew?
Yeah, right?
Well, and because, like, I always say, like, Threshold's dumb because, like, that's the popular internet take. I'm going to be honest, having watched it very recently, having been rating these episodes for the better part of 2 years, like, there are definitely, I would probably give Threshold a 3, if I'm honest. If I had to, like, rate it today.
Oh my God.
And maybe after talking about it, it'll go back down to a 2. I do not think I would get lower than a 2. It's a completely fine episode that is, like, bolstered by the fact that the people on Voyager can actually fucking act, which helps it.
Well, you seem to
like,
hate that one Enterprise episode more.
oh my God, I hate several episodes of this show
there's
more
some
than
really
that
bad
one.
ones. Yeah.
Like Marauders was fucking terrible.
So bad.
Because there was a dumb plot, like, hampered by the fact that no one on this show can fucking act. But, like, Robert Duncan McNeil is actually not a terrible actor, and he can run a scene, and he does a good job in that episode. So, like, I gotta be honest. You want a hot take? Threshold's not that bad. It's not, like, good, but it's not the worst episode of Star Trek by any reasonably objective measurement.
That unpopular opinion is a good segue into into Reddit.
Sounds like somebody just found the leftover fireworks for 4th of July in Missouri.
Yes, they did. Yeah, last couple days it's been it. So I'm tired of it. Let's see. Sinful Tic Tac says it's not really unpopular, but less common. Tellarites and Andorians should be more represented in the overall media, considering how Vulcans and humans are shown throughout the entirety of the franchise.
I don't disagree, and actually, it's funny because, like, you do see more of them after Enterprise, because that's when they are established as being, like, part of the dealio.
And Andorians are getting, I think, a good amount of love in like Strange New Worlds too,
and Lower Decks,
and Lower Decks, yeah. Tellarites to a certain degree too, but yeah.
Yeah,
right.
I don't disagree with the take, but I think that, like, you have to understand that, like, they were not as important until Enterprise, and then they became important, and you can't retcon, 4 whole series about it,
Somebody said, let's see, Magos Battle Bear. The moment I saw the redesign of Klingons, I hated it, but I like it now. Yes, I am talking about seeing the motion picture in 1979. So they were making a little joke there. But then somebody followed up with MK5 said, I still hate it. Post-TOS Klingons are not the people who invented the saying, 1,000 throats may be cut in one night by a running man. Honor is for Romulans and other weaklings.
What?
I think, I don't know. Having seen both classic Klingons and redesigned Klingons, but, like, not Discovery redesigned Klingons.
See, that's what I thought they were going to talk about.
Yeah.
Because, like, the post, like, original series movies Klingons were, like, that's what I consider to be real Klingons. The ones in the original series were just, they looked that way because, like, it was cheaper to make them look like that.
Mm-hmm. Because the best costume they had was brown
Goatee.
face and a Fu Manchu hairstyle.
Yeah.
I gotta be honest, so like going to the take that, like, the Discovery Klingons didn't bother me. I understood that they were trying to, when Discovery came out, they did not realize that they were going to be rebooting Star Trek as an IP. So I think that they were taking some visual liberties there because they're like, well, we get to do our own thing. I don't think they realized at the time that they were then going to be looped into, no, you're part of this and you have to deal with this. So I think that, like, do I like? I don't care. It's fucking forehead ridges. Like, who gives a shit? But like, I understand why that decision was made. So like, I don't necessarily like. I don't think being hard on them for that is the right move.
I think the other reason they did it in Discovery was to make them, I guess, easier to play as a villain. It just looked more intimidating.
Yeah, I can see that.
I guess. Yeah.
They're I still laugh at like the giant rock ship they show up in that one episode. Yeah. Like, what is this ship? It just like, did you just slap some engines onto an asteroid?
I don't know why more people don't do that. It seems like the perfect way to fly.
Yeah.
I remember reading an article once about how like space combat one day is basically just going to be like civilizations launching asteroids at the planets of other civilizations because it's effective.
Yeah, well, sure. All right.
I don't like that.
Next one we have Bald Thumbtack says James Kirk was, more often than not, a by-the-book captain who acted decisively and with input from his crew. He wasn't the reckless cowboy people misremember him as.
Yeah.
I agree with this.
What do you say, Rob?
I agree with this. He's kind of a Boy Scout in a lot of ways, up until really the movies.
Yeah,
I was gonna say.
I was actually kind of interested in when we get there because I feel like I remember him being fair. Like I understand there's some liberties he's taking because they're out on the frontier, and back then they could not instantaneously talk to Starfleet Command because they had the communications delay. But like, he seemed like he basically was doing his job. Yeah. And it wasn't until like, I guess the William Shatner movies to some degree, but like, it was really the J.J. Abrams movies that like, not he already had that reputation, but the J.J. Abrams movies were like, this is what Kirk with that reputation would actually be like. And it was quite different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. I haven't watched a whole lot of TOS, but I think I generally agree with that. Next one, here's one for you. Everyone on the sub is always talking about how they wish the season-long Year of Hell plot was actually carried out in Voyager. Yet that's essentially what the first half of the Xindi arc was in Enterprise, and the sub doesn't like the Xindi arc.
They don't like the Xindi arc?
I don't know what that context is coming from. I thought it was interesting they're comparing that Year of Hell to the Xindi arc.
This has been like the only part of Enterprise I've genuinely liked.
I don't remember the end of the Xindi arc. I don't remember. Is there a reset?
Nope. I
don't agree that a season-long Year of Hell plot would have worked. I don't think that 1998 writers had the chutzpah to pull that off.
For 24 episodes?
Yeah, for 24 episodes. I think that doing because that's a 3-parter if I recall correctly.
I think so.
It's at least a 2-parter. I think it might be a 3-parter. I think that's the best you could plan for. I think that's the best you could do with the way TV worked back then. I think that I don't know. The other problem too is with that idea, actually, and this would probably piss me off. I would feel like, I don't know, I would feel betrayed if I suffered through an entire season of something just to have it reset to the front of the season again.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, if you do it for a couple episodes, sure, I get it. You're doing something fun, and I like Year of Hell. It's a good story. But, God, if you blew an entire season of my fucking life, right, and then just reset it, I would be annoyed as shit.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Last one I'm doing from this thread, then I'm going to shift gears slightly. Aridas 1461 says, I'm happy that Klingons haven't shown up that much recently because I think they're overdone. I also would be willing to never see Section 31, the Mirror Universe, or Ponfar on screen again.
I'm okay with the Mirror Universe, but I agree with the rest of it.
I fucking hate the Mirror Universe. I fucking hate it.
I agree with all this except Klingons. I don't mind Klingons, but yeah, I could never see an episode with Section 31, the Mirror Universe, or Ponfar.
All of those things. Yes, I agree with this take 100%. Klingons are overused. It's all right. I get that they were the standard bad guy, but I'm okay. We can move on. Discovery went ahead and took the Klingons like to town. Like, we're good. We're done with Klingons. Like, I'm happy with them being in the universe. Like, you know, put a Klingon officer on the deck or whatever. I don't give a shit. But like, I don't need Klingon-centric plots anymore. I'm good.
Right.
I was a little like, oh, we're doing this when Spock had to drink the blood wine with the Klingons in that One Strange New Worlds episode.
Oh, that was fun.
It was fun, but it's also like, yeah, all right, we've done this. Like, this isn't new. Like, let's do something new. It's Strange New Worlds, not the same old fucking worlds.
Yeah. All right. So, shifting
And
into
the mirror
this
universe can suck my dick. I fucking hate the mirror universe.
So do I. See, for some reason, I thought you liked the mirror universe.
So I liked the episodes in Enterprise as compared to the rest of Enterprise that it happened in the mirror universe, but they do it differently, fundamentally differently in a way that I like, and we'll get there when we get there.
Okay.
But for the rest of it, it's just kind of the problem is that it's like you have this science fiction where there's all these different realities and shit that they go to, but then there's the one reality which is just our reality, but everyone's a douche. It's like, this is stupid.
Yeah. All right. So, shifting to this other thread, we have popular Star Trek characters you dislike/hate. So there's some interesting answers here. Before I get started with these, does anybody come to mind for either of you?
Popular ones that I dislike. Well, Giorgio, the Empress Giorgio is my biggest one.
That's a good one. Yeah, I hate her as well.
I fucking hate her.
Is she popular?
Yes.
She's getting her own show, right?
Oh,
/ movie.
yeah, that's true.
We don't rehabilitate Nazis. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah. Rob, anybody coming to mind for you?
Oh, man.
You're not much of a hater, so I know this is a tough stretch.
Yeah.
I have a real one, actually.
Oh, do you? Who?
I'm not a fan of Quark.
I get that. I can understand
I
that.
I find him obnoxious. I find his storyline stupid, and I don't like the Ferengi in general. So, like, I just don't like anything to do with him.
Yeah, I've enjoyed his character, but I get
no admonition
where
on
you're
the
coming from.
actor himself at all.
Sure, Armin Shimmerman. Yeah. All right. So let's see. I am Rock 24 says Chakotay and Harry Kim. Doesn't really elaborate.
Why would you not? I mean, what's not to like about Kim? I mean, I was like, I understand being like, yeah, Kim's just whatever, but I don't know about hate. Like, what's to hate about Harry Kim? He's just so innocuous.
He's just there, yeah. A more interesting Voyager one was from Stay-at-Home Cat Dad. He says, Neelix and Kess. I didn't like the characters or their storylines. I thought Voyager improved 100% by ditching these characters and adding 7 of 9. Ditching
these characters? Neelix doesn't leave until the penultimate episode.
Agreed, yeah.
So, sexist Stay-at-Home Cat Dad there only didn't like it when the lady he didn't like was on. Actually, I saw an interesting analysis by somebody who pointed out that, like, the episode where, like, that it's called Warlord, actually, the episode where the Warlord takes over Kess's body, and they're like, why haven't they let Kess's actor act this whole time? Because she is kind of just like
there,
like, yeah, like kind of
except
there
when she's being used as a plot device. Yes,
right. But obviously the actor can act, and she does a very good job. Yeah, Kess is. I mean, their storyline is what it is. They start to crop into some consent trouble I have because she's only like 3 and it was a whole thing.
Right. That's like, she definitely has like the anime like 1,000-year-old girl who looks like she's 12.
Right. Well, and she falls into that like born sexy yesterday trope. Right. Yeah.
Along these lines, there was a follow-up comment to that overall comment, which I actually found really interesting from Morgach, please. They said, Neelix and Kess should have been one character. A young person who gets rescued by Voyager in the first episode and learns new skills super quickly, taking on jobs as wide-ranging as nurse, chef, morale officer, and security. They survived a genocide and have untapped mental abilities that might be dangerous. They're a bit of a guide to the region, but also know nothing about Voyager, which let them stand in for both ends of the exposition. Can be super obnoxious or kind of cute, depends on mood. They age extremely fast, equivalent to about 1 decade per season.
Nah, it wouldn't work. It wouldn't work because they would be doing too much. Neelix, like, from a story perspective, Neelix and Kes both fulfilled very different roles.
Yeah.
And I think putting all of that onto one character would be too much.
Yeah. Plus, Janeway would definitely murder them because it's the combination of two people.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. Fucking Keelix there, dead.
Yeah. Somebody also mentioned that they thought Neelix got better after Kes left, and I generally agree with that because you took out his
Neelix got better
romance.
after they broke up.
Yeah, once there wasn't any of these awkward jealous boyfriend storylines that were super annoying.
Yeah, but Kes also got better after they broke up.
Yeah,
and that was I think they were a whole season after that. Yeah,
these are what's funny is all the top comments are Voyager stuff.
Well, they've got the best characters, so they've got the most to hate.
I disagree, but I understand. Rumple Teaser says, I hated Seska, and the series got better when the character left.
The character is what it is. The Cardassians are always fucking assholes.
Yeah.
But I don't disagree. That storyline was stupid and unnecessary.
Yeah, I tend to agree.
We already had shit going wrong. Why did we have to, shoehorn in this weird Cardassian thing?
Let's see.
Get into a show Rob can talk about.
B-Boy Black says, the Borg.
The Borg.
Yeah, I know you're on board there, Stanford.
I don't know. I'm curious how divided the Star Trek community as a whole is on the Borg. Because, I've heard other people be like, the Borg are stupid.
It's a couple follow comments said, I think they were good in the first few appearances in TNG, but were quickly ruined. Another person said, as much as I enjoy First Contact, the Borg were ruined by the addition of the Queen.
See, that I would agree with.
Yeah.
I think that it's cooler when they're just a faceless enemy.
Right. Let's see, the Borg were good at the beginning, but it seems every time that Star Trek creators need an enemy now, they take the Borg.
And this is my biggest issue with the Borg is that they can't be an enemy. They need to be an environmental threat, or else
it's like a force of nature. Yeah,
they need to exist the way they are constructed as an entity. They need to exist like gravity exists. If we get too close to a black hole, we're gonna fuck up, and we have to find a way to deal with that. The Borg as an enemy, though, the problem is that the Federation always wins. So, it's oh no, the Borg, they're supposed to be this big existential threat, and yet every single time the Starfleet goes up against them, they win. So it's well, no, they actually kind of suck. They have a pure loss record with on-screen appearances. The Borg have never won on-screen.
I mean, there's the Wolf 359. That's
on screen. The Borg have never won on screen.
What? You saw that guy who's communicating and then gets blown up so it gets all fuzzy. That's kind of on screen.
I like the way that the replicators from SG-1 are handled more than the Borg on Star Trek.
Because that's a great example.
Are treated as an existential threat.
Yeah, the replicators are treated as if these get to Earth, we're dead. And so the one episode where they're on that submarine and they're the replicators we have to keep them on the submarine until we deal with them, or else they'll get out, and then that's it. We're done. That's how the Borg should be. The Borg should be, if they successfully make it to a planet, we're done. That planet is gone. And that's how they were treated when you first kind of get those scary glimpses of them and stuff. But then it's well, because the writers don't use them that way, they use them as a plot.
Right.
Then now it's well, okay, but then we just got to get some plucky Starfleet officers to go blow up the right fucking piece of equipment on their ship, and now their entire Borg cube explodes. What the fuck are we doing here then? They're not scary. I mean, I'm good. I don't want to see one, but they're not scary.
All right. So A500 Miles says Deanna Troi, which I feel like Deanna Troi gets a lot of hate already. So I wouldn't say this is unpopular. But they say, I just don't like her. She wasn't anything fantastic to start. She finally started to grow on me until episode 10 of season 4. She just ruined it. I've hated her since then. The way she treated everyone and acted like being a normal human was beneath her.
The way she acted like being a normal human was beneath her.
What episode was that? Because
she was a counselor. I think Troy got better after the first couple seasons when they figured out how to actually let her fucking be a character rather than just some like eye candy that was on the bridge for some reason.
Yeah.
Once they let her have some clothing, that was when she got better.
Yeah. Occasionally she wore a uniform instead
An
of
actual fucking uniform, yeah.
Oh yeah, season 10 is where she lost her empathic powers. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't hate Troy. I mean, she's uninteresting in a lot of episodes, but let's see. I actually like Wesley Crusher and never got why he was shit on.
Shut up, Wesley.
Shut up.
Shut up, Wesley.
Shut up, Wesley. My Wesley falls into that magic boy trope.
Yeah.
That like it was Wesley is so an 80s thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Like I have to agree to an extent with this though. I feel like as a character, he gets way more hate than he deserves.
I don't disagree. I guess like my point is that like Wesley is not any less two-dimensional than any of the other characters on TNG really, especially early on. Like all of the characters are just archetypal until you get to like season 3, 4, and 5, right? So
yeah, and like by the time they finally got him off the show, like I feel like people are finally just starting to come around to him.
Yeah, which was like season 4, 5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, so finally I have Not Worth Assimilating says, we do not need a series dedicated to Worf. While I liked some of his storylines, he has had 2 series worth of content and is a mediocre captain at best. He only helps make surrounding characters more interesting. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, early on, his understanding of Klingon culture comes from idealism rather than experience. Even when confronted with experience, he did not learn more. But being the eldest, he just abandoned his Klingon family altogether. He's a terrible brother and not a great father. I mean, he's definitely not a good father.
Is there a Worf series in the works?
No. So apparently Michael Dorn has been trying to sell Paramount on us for a while.
Jesus Christ. I mean, Michael Dorn, get yours. Like, I don't care. But like,
yeah.
I don't disagree. I think that, when someone's like, Worf needs his own series, my answer would be, did you see the last 3 seasons of DS9? He had his own series.
Yeah, he was
like that show became about him.
Yeah, he had a bunch of storylines on TNG too, so it's not like he was like, he's
and like, I mean, I think that all of the interesting aspects of that character were explored, and they were interesting. Like the idea of the conflict between him and like his traditional Klingon beliefs and like the idealized concepts of Klingons versus the reality. Like those were all very interesting character moments that we already saw. So what's left to do? And I think that like him working did he work for Section 31 too? Is that who he was working for?
And Picard, I think that might be right. Yeah.
Fucking like, okay. As soon as people go to Section 31, they're dead to me. Fuck them. Like that's such a dumb concept.
Okay, I said that was the last one, but I lied. I found another good one in the other thread, which was the unpopular opinion one. It said Dr. Pulaski was an awesome character who had more of an arc in 1 season than Crusher had in 6. So
let me think about that.
I was gonna say, so I disagree with his first point. However, his second point is not really.
I will
wrong.
say, I'm not like I hated her as a person, but that doesn't mean she was a bad character.
Right.
Agreed.
And like I think that in a lot of ways she was designed to play the foil to Picard.
Yeah, I mean,
and in that aspect, I don't think that was necessary because Picard doesn't need a foil that way with the way he's constructed as a character. Yeah, I don't know. I disagree that Crusher didn't have an arc. I think that she did, although it is, I don't know, TNG's tough because like the arcs are pretty shallow for most of the characters.
Yeah, well, she's also a
Picard
woman
has
in
no
TNG,
arc.
so
like Picard is a flat plateau of like, this is the perfect captain. That is what he does.
I don't think he had an overall arc. I think he did have a number of different arcs within the series, but I
Well,
get
sure,
what
he
you're
had
saying.
stories, but like the character from day one was the same as the character at day 783 or whatever. Like, there was no arc to his character overall. Like, the character didn't change at all. Riker changed. He
I think
became
Worf
less.
changed too.
Yes, Riker became less rookie, like less greenhorn, to being actually in command as opposed to just being on the starship. And kind of fell into those command roles very well, which actually worked into the movies in a good way. I think Worf absolutely had some arcs. Even O'Brien had some slight arcs in TNG, but
Data.
definitely more so in DS9. Data had very clear arcs. Troy and Crusher, their arcs are certainly shallower. I would chalk most of that up to being like they were women on TV in the late 80s and early 90s. So
Yes, women don't have story arcs; they have vaginas.
right.
Actually, I was gonna say the one character in season 1 that I felt like had a very good arc was Yar, Tasha Yar.
I don't think I agree. How did Tasha Yar? How would you describe Tasha Yar's arc?
I think she had interesting backstory. I don't think she had an arc.
Well, she went from being like, well, I guess she was always sort of hyper aggressive, but she toned it down towards the end.
But she died? Does that
Yeah.
Yeah, first she was alive, then she was dead. That is an arc.
She
Like, you're
was
right.
dead. No, I guess like you got to see her like evolve as a person. You got more one-on-one time with her than some of the other, like, I don't know if she was considered senior staff. I guess she was.
She's the
that's
goddamn
one-on-one time
security
with her.
chief. She is Worf. I mean, if Worf's considered security staff.
Yeah.
Oh, you know who else didn't really have an arc? Geordi. Geordi didn't really have it.
No.
He had some character moments, but not really like, he didn't change much.
Yeah.
Well, I say that, actually, at first he was basically just the pilot because the show was stupid at first, but like once he became chief engineer, then he didn't really have an arc after that.
True, yeah. It was wild that they had LeVar Burton just as like more or less an extra at the beginning of that show.
So wild. Like O'Brien had more lines than he did.
Yeah. Crazy.
It's like, get him talking so that he won't direct later.
All right. Well, I think that'll wrap up the potpourri for the evening. Any final unpopular opinions or disliked characters you'd like to share?
Rob, you have to have an unpopular Star Trek opinion.
I want to see more Makos in later Star Treks. I think that they should have had more of them. Like we need competent, like,
I actually don't
actual
disagree.
military.
I don't disagree. Like everything on DS9 with the Dominion War, like where the fuck were the Makos?
Yeah.
Like why were random Starfleet like officers and shit like on the front lines?
Because the Makos were dissolved after Enterprise.
That's
Somewhere
stupid.
between the start of TOS.
Yeah, well, Starfleet, even though it is a military, doesn't actually train their troops for like ground combat very well.
No, turns out.
Christy, you have an unpopular opinion?
Oof. Nothing really comes to mind at the moment.
See, this is why you're right on the average between us.
Yeah, well, that's fair. Yeah, I'd have to think about that. I'm sure I do, but nothing's coming to mind.
I have one. The Defiant was stupid.
Look, they just needed to do some trekking in the Star Trek, okay?
I thought the whole concept was stupid. And anyone who's like, well, Starfleet's not a military, all you have to show them is the Defiant to be like, tell me that they're not a fucking military. It's like, I'm sorry, you're right. They're just an exploration that made a ship that is only designed for war. Like,
Well, I think that'll about wrap it up. As Stanford mentioned at the top of the pod.
You should just cut the episode.
you want to try again? Yeah.
As Stanford mentioned at the top of the podcast, please rate, review, download, give us those 5 stars. Do all those things to help us spread the podcast. It is much appreciated.
Yes, please.
For the whole crew, thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time.
Good night, everybody.
Bye. Thanks for listening to Captain's Log Supplemental. You can follow us on Twitter at PodCLS or send us hate mail at podcls3@gmail.com.